Hello, hello. This is Mischievous Heathen. Heretical Weekends number 11. This is the Norden episode. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the Norden, it's some TV show from like Sweden or Norway or the Nordic countries. And I guess they take a bit of, it's a culture clash thing. They take an outsider, get their perspective on certain topics. And so today we touched upon the religion episode. Here with me today is Run Gabagai Run, as always, with a brand new, very creepy avatar.
It's creepy?
I mean, interesting.
Uh-huh.
And Fox, who just stepped away for a minute, and I may come back. I am not sure if he has boyfriend duties or he may be dropping a deuce. I don't know.
I told him to use the potty before we left for the trip.
I know. I certainly did. So this was a topic that our other panelist, Atheological Potato, suggested, and hopefully he will show up and Turtle 2040, is that right?
2020, 2080. 2080.
2080. Hey, you should know. He suggested this episode. I actually had seen it like a long time ago, and I didn't quite remember it, so we all rewatched it. And do you have an overall view or an opinion of the whole thing, or do you want to go step by step, Gabby?
I think it's an interesting video, but I mean, I think it's better just to watch it and make comments as we go.
All right. Now, I have the excerpt up. Is this something that we are going to watch, like, it's 26 minutes or something? Well, first of all, are we allowed to watch the video? I mean, I don't want to pull a Gman or anything.
Yeah, well, you know, and that's interesting. I learned, I think, from Gman's mistakes, just kind of about some of the digital content and piracy laws and things, just and listening to other YouTubers who are more knowledgeable than I am. But from what I gather, it is considered fair use to make comments on things that are posted on YouTube. You're not supposed to, without the other person's permission, just put it up on your channel as your own content and things. So we're critiquing and we're making comments, and I think that's fair game as far as those laws are concerned.
Okay, so should I put up the actual video and then do it that way?
Sure.
All right. Turtle. We got a turtle, a rabbit, and a fox all in the same room.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Just fine.
Yep. You're like a summer morning.
Well, that's good, I guess.
Oh man, it's funny that Potato is the one that suggested this video, but he's like the last one to show up.
He'll be here.
He's working on Finland time or Finnish time.
Are we doing the Norden video now, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it queued up. I haven't shared it yet. We were going to we had a brief discussion on fair use rules and consequences and all that stuff, and so Gabby said that we could watch the video and critique it because it's a critique. We just can't repost it on our channel. So okay. I'm going with that, and if I get flagged or shut down, I will blame Gabby.
That's right.
And I will haunt his channel.
Yikes.
Well, before we started, Fox said he had to go for a couple minutes, so we should probably wait for him to come back now.
Are we watching the full episode or just that like brief? Because there's like a half-hour episode, right? Or
there's like a 5.5 minute excerpt. I don't know how in depth it goes, but I think we're gonna watch the whole thing.
Okay.
It's only 26 minutes, and you know, I think for the parts that that they speak over the narrator, we're probably going to comment on. So I'm probably going to skip ahead a little bit to yeah, so it may not be the whole 26 minutes, but if everyone's ready, I can start this bad boy.
Sure.
Yep. All set.
Am I doing it right this time? Because
I see it.
Okay.
Looks good.
Hej och välkommen till The Norden. I den här serien granskar vi den omtalade nordiska vävvärlden bara att genom en utomstående, neutral och inte alltid kanske så lättsmickrad persons ögon. Frågan är hurudant samhälle vi egentligen har byggt upp här i Norden. I det här avsnittet ska pastor Martin McLean från USA få syna vårt förhållande till religion. Ett rätt smalt förhållande.
I have no need of a God. Wow. What'd you say? Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. How would your religion prepare you for eternity? I think like you can upload our brains and then we can live on forever.
That guy's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip ahead here. Oh, wait, never mind, it's starting.
Ja, vi nordbor är inte så mycket för det här med religion. Internationellt sett hör vi till de som tror minst på en existerande Gud. Kyrkan gillar vi däremot. Vi gifter oss i kyrkan, vi döper barn där, vi begraver föräldrar där. Vi är bara prästen, tonar ner bitarna om Jesus, så går det riktigt bra.
I'm gonna stop it right there. I find that very interesting. Did anybody else find that interesting? At least.
What did he say?
So, from the text, it says they like the church, but they don't like. It's hard to explain. They use the church for ceremonial stuff, weddings, baptizings, funerals, and that kind of thing. And then they said as long as they'll tell the reverend or priest or whatever reverend. As long as they don't go too heavy with the Jesus stuff, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a formality, I think. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
how do they reconcile that portion of it, where it's that part seems ripe with contradiction a little bit, at least. And did anybody else find that weird?
Weird.
Sometimes I still say "God bless you" when people sneeze.
But that's a far cry from getting your kid baptized.
Yeah.
I mean, it's or is it more of like, when they say you're a cultural Jew versus like being like Jewish, where you're, you know what I mean, where you go and you observe all the holidays and stuff like that, but you don't really are religious, Yeah,
I think a lot of people in Scandinavia are quite like that. I mean, it's similar in the UK as well. We really have no problem being absolute hypocrites. I mean, we like our to us religion's a little bit like the monarchy. I mean, again, a lot of constitutional monarchies in Scandinavia as well, where it's just like, I mean, I despise the monarchy, as most rational-minded people should do, but don't, unfortunately. In this country, it's a sentimental thing. It is just like it's nice. Look at all the nice outfits and the nice singing, and there's, isn't it nice, these big old buildings? And we have some amazing architecture. I was a couple of months ago at York Minster, which is just this enormous cathedral. It's an amazing building, and it was nice just having a poke around it, just having a look in. And you think, I always feel a bit like, what a waste of time it was. I felt exactly the same when I went to the Vatican. I was like, what a shame all this is for nothing. And I think in Scandinavia as well, there is just this laid back, we will just appropriate whatever bits of culture we see fit, but we won't really believe in any of it for a second. And we look across the Atlantic and say, oh, you actually think this is real. It's like, I think we think of Americans as the people who believe wrestling's real. We watch wrestling aware that it is like a soap opera for men. There are some...
That's exactly how I describe it, Fox. I swear to you, that's exactly how I describe it.
I think I might have stolen that from you before. Again, I'm just appropriating wherever I see things. And
I'm like, wow, those are some wise words. It must be mine.
I could be wrong, but I feel like religion it's just like, you know, these people they live in this house, and there's all these things that from the people who lived in the house before, and they just decided not to get rid of all the things in the house. You know, it's the furniture or whatever. It's just there. Let's just sit on it and live our lives, but not worry about it. You know.
Yeah. See, I mean, I know a lot of Christians who are very smart people and who, you know, accept evolution and all the rest of it, who think, you know, things like gay marriage is fine. I mean, we have legalized gay marriage in the UK now, and most people are happy with it and fine with it. And really, all of the negative aspects of it, the like marriage of conservative ideology with religion doesn't really take place in Europe. So we just look at it as a complete anathema. We even accept like kooky you know, religious nonsense on like breakfast TV shows, and everyone just sort of has a laugh and goes, you know. We do not pay any kind of serious credence to it. I mean, we have our own strange quirks, things like monarchies and things like that linger on, and I mean, the UK is not very democratic compared to the States, but we are, you know, we don't have the same issues with religion generally. I mean, there are a few, you know, exceptions. We breed our nut jobs on the internet like Jason Burns and Matt Bell and people like that. We do a good line in that, but we're just not in the same league as you guys, I guess.
I think part of the difference might be just because the people over here take religion so seriously. So we atheists have to like feel like we have to separate every aspect of religion out. Like when we see, like over here in the U.S., when we see something like that, it's kind of like, well, don't you realize that that's part of the religion? Whereas just because religion is so in your face over here, you know, it's people take it so seriously.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're like what 5% of the population atheists, and like Turtle just said, you know, the religious groups are really in your face about it, and really they're a powerful constituency in our voting, you know, what's the word, in the elections and things.
Politics.
Yeah, and you know, if it was less so, if that was less the case, I think it would be not as big a deal, you know, when the 10 Commandments are posted in our courtrooms, or people, I don't know, you know, there's residual things left in our classrooms or something like that.
Just ceremonial stuff.
Yeah. But it is there, and it is influential, and so it does bother us, I suppose.
All right, let's get on with this video. We're gonna be here for like 3 days. Yeah. And I can't get the video to start. The play button is not working.
Well,
I know. We could talk about that plant.
Från dogma.
Oh, there it goes.
Där förhållande till Gud och religion anses mycket viktigt.
And that's what we see, Fox.
Oh, dear.
Marty är vad man kallar konservativ kristen. Bibeln är Guds ord bokstavligen, och det finns 0 tolkningsmål där, frågar Marty. Marty har aldrig satt sin fot ut för USA, och nu ska han resa runt i Norden i några dagar. Och hans uppgift är att reda ut vad vi nordbor egentligen tror på.
My name's Marty McLean. I'm 46 years old. I'm the pastor of Summit Church of West Georgia. Married to Stephanie, and we have 4 kids ages 21 to 12. I believe in creation. God created the heavens and the earth. I believe in the fall in the Garden of Eden. I believe that there's restoration, redemption through Jesus Christ. I think that heaven is better than anything we could have imagined. I think some of the artists have not done justice to heaven when they paint these boring pictures, and when there's the concept of, oh, I'm going to have a robe and a harp, and I'm going to be walking on clouds. I just don't think that's the case at all. I think it's better than anything you could ever imagine. I believe that there is a literal hell, and the Bible does refer to in the book of Revelation, the lake of fire. I believe we're all born with a sin nature. I believe certain people have propensities for certain sins that others don't.
Säger jag kyrka, tänker du kanske stel gudstjänst, tillhörande stel kyrkbänk, en lång märklig predikan med några psalmer insprängda. Och där är det. Och du är inte alls ensam om att tänka så här. Kyrkan har stadigt tappat medlemmar i samtliga nordiska länder i decennier redan. Och den stora frågan är hur kyrkan i Norden ska göra sig intressant och relevant.
I'm just going to skip ahead here a little bit. You guys seen this video, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead here for the viewers because I don't think they're going to want to sit through the whole thing. But essentially, this is the rock and roll church, right?
Well,
rock on!
For
Death
Jesus.
plus one.
Wow, they're really
So
headbanging there.
this is the heavy metal church, and you can see by the pastor's reaction he's not having a good time.
Slightly out of his element.
Right. Obviously, we don't have Potato here to translate any of this stuff, but if I was to guess, it would be like "Rock on, Jesus" or something.
It's still supposed to be Christian, so
right. Yeah, if it's as cheesy as the Christian rock in this country, then it's probably something along those lines. But you would be more inclined to, if you could go to a church where the music wasn't completely shitty, I guess, and you can at least appreciate the music, it wouldn't be so bad. But what's interesting to me is this part where he gives his
opinion of it.
Opinion of it. Hold on.
the only thing I would do differently probably is saying, don't draw as much attention, to yourself as you sing. That would just be my recommendation if I was pastoring a church and, we had singers I thought were too physically expressive and kind of, I would say, hey, let's tone down the physical expression, and kind of funnel it in a different way. Don't move as much like that. I'm sure it's a God-honoring movement.
Okay, so he wants them to tone it down and move it, in a more godlike movement. Is that what he said?
To some extent, I kind of understand what he's saying, just because you have the part where there's the guy who's standing on one of the pews in front of everybody. I think the pastor's seeing it as they're glorifying themselves rather than God.
Yeah,
that's how I think, which I think is interesting. I almost wonder if he was in an equivalent church in America, if there was a heavy metal American church, if he would be more judgmental of it. I almost feel like because he's in a situation where he's a guest in this foreign country, he's trying to be more tolerant than he would be otherwise. Because he clearly is not having a good time.
But I also wonder if it's something to do with the fact that heavy metal is so often associated with Satan, and those guys actually believe Satan exists. So I think they find it weird. I think that's really strange. If you liked heavy metal music, what could be worse than going to a church to listen to them doing it about Jesus? It's just it's supposed to be death and the devil and all that stuff. So maybe the pastor's kind of got a point. This is devil music.
Well, do you think that he sort of related like the young women in the band to his liking them to his daughters in a sense where, you know, he wouldn't want his daughters him being a conservative, I guess, thrashing about and the problem. The thing that got me, I mean, I can get you have certain instincts as a father. You know, you're gonna be like, no, put a jacket on her. You know what I mean? Like cover up or whatever. But he was very general, where he was like tone down the movements and that kind of thing. And we don't know what he's referring to exactly because they're just showing us clips, so it can kind of skew our opinion, I guess. But how does one become the arbiter of how one glorifies God? You know what I mean? Like, is that really any different than like the guys that hold their hands up and pass out? And you know what I mean? And I don't know what goes on in his church, but there's people in this country that are like falling on the floor and shakes and speaking in tongues. I mean, is that any better or worse? You know? I mean, at least they're playing music.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of it comes down to what you feel comfortable with, and they interpret, you know, whatever they're comfortable with. That's the Holy Spirit, you know, telling them that something's okay or something's not okay. And so, you know, he was not comfortable because that's not the thing that he's used to.
Yeah, right. Social norms.
Right.
All it is.
Yeah.
I also wonder if he's slightly alarmed that the effort that this church has gone to try to reach out to appeal. I think some might be uncomfortable that it's a slippery slope of, well, you know, if it starts at this point, where does it end? You start to say, well, you know, this isn't literally true, and don't worry about that bit. So I think the ideas of tradition as a straitjacket, you know, we have a winning formula, stick to it, just make them go to it, just make that be your society, and everyone will. This is the idea I think that he has in his head. So there are a lot of conservative-minded people out there who just balk at the idea of reaching out. I mean, there are a lot of Catholics, old die-hard Catholics who are like that. Of like, no, if the church modernizes, it dies. Where all the modernizers are saying, if the church doesn't modernize, then it dies. So you have that kind of split, and I think maybe he thinks, you know, this act of them not prostrating themselves and not singing hymns about how wonderful God is, or at least that's not the obvious takeaway. The other takeaway is, hey, come and have a long, come down to church, kids, and you can have your rock and roll, and it's all fine. God is love and all that stuff. That kind of happy clappy stuff is not the kind of fire and brimstone and, you know, we hate gays and gay marriages and abomination and all that stuff that a lot of conservative-minded people have hitched their wagon to. So I just wonder if he just doesn't like it for those grounds.
Don't you think his church would be really boring though? Like his sermon? Like,
church is supposed to be boring. What are you on about?
Yeah, if I was to go to a church, I would go to like one of those wackadoo Baptist churches where they're dancing in the aisles and stuff, because then you give me something to do.
Those aren't the Baptists.
Was that?
Those aren't the Baptists.
Oh,
dancing in the aisle. Those are the Pentecostals, and not even all Pentecostals are doing that.
Oh, okay. I would need something to hold my attention. You know, I mean, but yeah. I'm sorry, my brain's not working today, so I'm trying to down as much coffee as I can. My words are failing me.
Can you skip to the part where he goes and talks to the other religious people, like I don't know if they're
the reverends?
Yeah, the man and the woman reverend.
Okay.
I thought that was interesting.
The scientist first. I can skip ahead to that.
Average people in Denmark, I don't think they're religious all day, all time. It's something they are in specific situations. Things can happen in their life that calls for the religious feeling, and it's not necessary when someone meet you in the street with a camera, microphone, and ask you, are you religious? Let me ask you about an explosive issue that I've read about with Dillahunty, and correct me if I'm wrong. A couple of years ago, it seems like there's an issue with having same-sex marriage ceremonies in the church, and that the parliament make the church start doing that in the church. Yeah. So it was the Parliament, the government said you must perform same-sex marriages in the church.
Yeah, that's correct.
Wow. Wow. I created love not to make new generations, but to unite people, and that's all I have to say in that case. Sure.
In your face,
I think
Pastor
same-sex
George.
attraction is a sin. The worst thing I could do to somebody is say, you know, God made you that way, and He wants you to stay that way, and God's all for, you know, a homosexual relationship. When you look in the Bible, you see what God says about homosexuality. I have to deny so much of Scripture in order to give that type of counsel.
Oh,
When I was 14 years old, I felt God just, the Holy Spirit of God just.
can I touch on something before he gets on to his next point?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Okay, I told you guys to type in the chat to say stop or something if you want to comment. I don't know when you guys got something to say. So, first off, I'm digging that whole white plate thing that they have. It looks like they took like paper plates and cut a hole in it and just kind of, which is kind of awesome.
Or coffee filters, glued a couple coffee filters together and cut a hole in the middle.
Well, they came up through the toilet and they've just got the toilet seat stuck on them.
Second of all, I love Sweden and I would love to retire there. But it's the same-sex marriage thing. I assume if they're asking about that, obviously at some point in production of this, they you know, it's one of those topics that it's like, hey, bring this up. But they didn't seem to, you know, when he asked the question about the government, you know, he said force you to perform same-sex marriages, and they're like, yeah. And he's like,
I'm
wow.
not sure how true that is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I assume that they just meant, I don't know. I don't know enough about it. If they just legalized it and he's seeing it as they forced him, or the government's forcing them, because that's how he would see it. But when the other reverend responded with, you know, what he feels, you know, the whole God-love relationship, that look on his face was priceless. He's like, ah, shit. What do you guys think?
Yeah, even before that, though, too, you can see he's just so completely uncomfortable with these two's views on religion and the society's views on religion. Like, because I think we kind of cut in a little bit after it had started, but it seemed like they were talking about, because just before this, our pastor is going around asking people if they believed in God, and by and large, the answer was no, with a few exceptions. But it sounded like they're in Sweden or Denmark? I'm sorry.
I think they're in Denmark. Yeah.
In Denmark, they're the Danish priest is basically, it kind of makes it sound like he's making an excuse, like, well, they might not say it when they've got a camera in front of their face, but they really do, is kind of what it sounded like he was saying, which is, I don't really think that's really the case, but what do I know? But yeah, even during that part of the conversation, it just seemed like our American pastor that we're following is just completely uncomfortable with these people, even these priests' view on religion in general. He just seems completely uncomfortable sitting there.
The thing that really bothered me with what he said was in his commentary, actually, where he said, the worst thing I can say to you is God made you that way and wants you to stay that way.
He made you that way and he thinks it's terrible.
You know, because by that logic, how do you determine, I mean, he's just, I assume that he feels the starting point, you know, the default is like heterosexual, you know, or whatever. And if you're gay, the worst thing you can say is, you know, God made you that way, and you know what I mean? Like, but how is he the arbiter of that? As my point again, like
in his mind, he doesn't think he is.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he would say, how do you think that you're the arbiter? God is the arbiter.
Yeah, he'd probably say that, you know, if it was up to him, he'd be quite happy with it, blah, 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 but he's just following orders, you know, the old defense, I'm just following orders. So a lot of Christians seem to, I think, now that society has changed, where it's no longer as acceptable to be homophobic, they say, well, yeah, I'd like to concede that point, but I can't because of this little thing called the Bible what says you can't do it. So I think actually he is that classic example of someone who's poisoned by religion, by a particular interpretation of religion, I should say, not all religion, because clearly.
I think Fox went away. Hello?
Yeah, I don't hear him.
God does not want Fox to speak.
Uh-oh.
He's been smote. I think he said you mentioned his battery may be going out. So.
Yeah, we met a lot of Fox.
Do you mind just playing? There's a part in this video just coming up shortly. If you keep playing it.
Okay.
Burden in my heart that I needed Jesus in my life. Have you been born again?
It hasn't been like one day I was this Karen and the next day I was a new Karen.
I was born again when I was 3 months old, when I was baptized. And like Jesus said, you can't be born again twice. So,
see, we believe it's got to be a volitional, conscious, accepting of Christ in your life when you reach that age where you're able to make that decision. But that's okay.
Yeah, that's the part right there that I like. When they're talking about their own personal views, or their societal views, really on Christianity, and the Danish priest like sniggers at his beliefs. I almost feel sorry for the pastor, because it's like who gets to say who's right in that situation. But it is interesting seeing somebody thrust into a society where their beliefs are not the norms.
Yeah, but I think it's so healthy. I think it is
totally
so healthy, not only for Christians, but for atheists too, to get to understand the beliefs that believers have and things. We can get so quickly fall into these boxes where we think that we understand everything, and what we actually think that the other person believes or thinks or does is more of a caricature of what they believe and think. So,
or even people that you assume are on your team, you know, like you find out that not everybody who calls themselves a Christian actually thinks. I mean, he's so sure of himself, like when he's talking about like being born again, and then he gets laughed at by another Christian,
Yeah, well, I had a conversation with a guy at work. He doesn't work for the same organization that I work for, but he's actually an interpreter, and he and I were talking as we were traveling to a meeting or whatever, and we were on the same page with regard to a lot of political things, and that's right, and then he brought up climate change and how serious the problem that is, and whatever. Yes, we're on the same page with that. And then he's like, and then you've got these chemtrails, and I was like, come again. What was that? And he says, you think I'm crazy? And I said, well,
what is chemtrails? I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
you know what chemtrails are?
Not off the top.
That's a tangent.
Yeah.
We can talk about that after.
Yeah, definitely. But it's complete pseudo-science conspiracy theory kind of stuff, and
right.
So until you get into the meat of what people are actually believing and what they base their beliefs on, it's hard to know exactly all the different moving parts and things. So.
Right on. Where are we at?
You want to skip to where the guy's talking about the uploading thing, or
the Copa Mists? Yeah. There it is. Church of Copanism.
Världen att ge officiell status åt det missionerande Copa Mists-samfundet. Det vill säga placera dem i samma liga som Svenska kyrkan eller romersk-katolska kyrkan.
Så ibland har folk kommit på en bakifrån när man har gått liksom med cykel och frågat om man har upptäckt Jesus eller Gud. Och jag har berättat om kopimismen och då har de avfärdat det direkt som trams. Så jag hoppas inte Martin det här.
Ja.
Kopimisterna, de tror på fildelning. De tror alltså i religiös bemärkelse. Att kopiera en bild eller en låt eller en film på nätet, det är en helig akt enligt kopimisterna. Eller ett practical joke som svenska byråkrater tyvärr tog på allvar, om du frågar kritikerna.
Alltså, vi har hand om den här lagstiftningen som säger att om man uppfinningen går ut på vad man tror om de formella kriterierna och därför blev de ett registrerat trossamfund.
And copying is the idea about copying and that everything evolves around copying in the universe and in language. And we believe that copying is a kind of a sacred act. Wow, that's copying. Okay, when you worship, what do you do when you have your worship service? Yeah. How do you worship? Worship by doing copying, and the perfect copying is a very sacred act. And you can do the perfect copying by like file sharing or whatever, like by a computer. And you copy files. That's a sacred act. Like
What the
then
fuck?
we do it together. So, are you Christian? No, we're not Christian. Okay.
No, that would be stupid.
All right. How would your religion prepare you for eternity? I think like we can upload our brains and then we can live on forever and ever, and we never have to be afraid of death. Okay. I think we have a register of 4,000 numbers.
In all of Sweden or just in this area?
In Scandinavia.
As a Christian, obviously I don't believe all religion is equal. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Marty. Hope to have a nice Christmas.
Hope to upload my brain.
I really don't know what to say. Never heard of that before.
What does that say about Sweden?
Well, I reckon to each his own. Anything goes. There is no one solid fundamental base. It's just kind of whatever you'd like.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
There's no good narrative.
Well, because I think there has to be some type of moral basis for law. I think somebody's narrative will win out. And when you have such diverse narratives and you try to come to the least common denominator, you're probably not going to satisfy anyone when, the different elements of society get to a certain size. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Burn in hell, blasphemer.
I find it interesting how he's can't even step out. Now I will say that considering his background, however, it's all about as nuanced a reaction to something as goofy as that could be. So I don't want to make it sound like he's a horrible person or anything, but like in the context of having this conversation with this guy, he still has to he puts out a question that really is about his own religion. Like how does your religion prepare you for eternity?
Right.
Well, that's something from your religion, dude. Why are you thrusting that upon this guy? And the guy tried to come up with an answer, but it just, well, how does your religion help you deal with the devil? Like, what? No, that's not part of my religion at all. That's your thing.
Well, in the little intro, I don't know if you guys read it, but it said that some people believe that the Copa Mists are kind of a joke that bureaucrats fell for. And I was watching this, and I was like, I wonder if this is their version of the flying spaghetti monster.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
It sounded like he was sincere, though. I don't know.
Well, you would think like, file sharing is like, there's all sorts of laws and the piracy thing and all that. What better way to like, escape? You know what I mean? Like any sort of like trouble if you just say, hey, this is our religion, and then you're exempt from certain things.
Maybe. Well, I don't know if that's true over there. Over here, they would be possibly if they got taken seriously. But
well, the guys from Pirate Bay get put in jail and they're overseas.
I don't know.
Not that I ever visit those sites. I'm just saying. Not that I heard in a rumor once. I read on an article. But yeah.
I think it would depend on the country's laws as far as religious freedoms. Because I mean, over here, in theory, we have religious freedom, but I don't know what all the laws are in all these different countries. But if they would be protected because of that or not, but.
So what do you guys think of? What do you think the pastor took away from all this? I mean, do you think he went back and he's just like, well, I really hope they come to Christ, and like,
I think that's probably a large part of it. I would hope that he'd at least come away thinking about it. I think that would be the best case scenario. But I don't think he's, going to change wholesale by any means.
No. I'm not suggesting that. I mean, do you think that he? I see on some level can at least accept the fact that they worship God. They have churches and stuff. It's just in a different way, and that in other words, him not say something to the effect of, well, they may call themselves a church, but they're doing it wrong, and they're not. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's probably the way he'd like. He goes home and now he's praying for them that they get their shit together. Probably not using those words, but I think that's kind of the mindset. I would think that he would walk away from this experience with is, boy, these people do not know what they're doing over there, and they're all in trouble of going to hell.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's kind of fucked up, but yeah, I mean he's never been outside the U.S. In the very beginning.
Yeah, it said that. Yeah,
this is really like weird for him. I mean, I wish they would have sent him into like Nigeria to like or something where where it's like really different. But
just on a side note, I thought it was kind of interesting that all of the voiceover was done in Danish or Swedish or whatever, but then all of the dialogue was just in English with no subtitles or anything.
Yeah.
Obviously not a big deal, but I just found that interesting.
Well, I think it was when it was posted or something that it was adapted for consumption in English-speaking countries, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, you would still think there would be. I mean, I would assume there would then be have been subtitles for Danish or whatever language it was.
Yeah, they took those out.
Okay.
So do you guys see in any way the file sharing dude to like how could that be in any sort of sense a spiritual or religious experience?
That's an interesting question. I don't understand. Like, I almost feel like some atheists or non-religious people look at religion as something that's desirable, and so they occasionally try and invent something or come up with something. I feel like that's why some people, when they come out of church, when they stop believing in Christianity, kind of turn to like new agey stuff. It's just because they feel like there's something valuable in the religious, life, but they don't believe in the mainstream ideas anymore.
Yeah, I had a professor, a philosophy professor, who I've kept in touch with a little bit, even beyond school, and he's an atheist, but he still participates in, I don't know what. I mean, he still kind of has some kind of Buddhist kind of ideals and things that he likes and embraces. But then beyond that, he even participates in some, I don't know if it's Episcopalian or whatever kind of church services, in part for the community, but also beyond that, he gets some kind of what he considers like psychological benefit from participating in the liturgy in those services and the ceremony of it.
Yeah, on the one hand, I guess that really shouldn't be too surprising that over the thousands of years that people have been engaged in religious ceremonies, that would have evolved as something we desire. Like that the people who were part of these societies, they would prefer isn't the right word, but that there would evolve this desire to do it, be involved in this, and
Sure.
Outliers would have died off, not had the evolutionary advantage of being part of the in-group. But, I don't know if you guys ever listened to Bob Price or hear him talk at all, but he's he's a former Christian who he's a Bible scholar or whatever. He's one of the few people who's really kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Who doesn't think that Jesus was a myth. But anyway, he enjoys, though he's an atheist, he enjoys going to like Catholic ceremonies and whatever. He enjoys the ceremony of it. But
some people just like the inclusiveness of it, like. I don't know if it's not a religious thing, but some people just do like the idea of being in a community, and
sure,
that whole group mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, anytime I go in there, and it's repellent to me now. Just the whole, even the ceremony of it, even the ritual. Now, the community I can see, and I am. If there was a local kind of atheist church thing that started up where I am, I would probably be inclined to, at the very least, check it out, and maybe become, a participating member of it. And some of those are popping up here and there around the country and around the world, I guess, too. But just any of that, it just. There's that emotional element of it that to me makes me go because of that, having grown up in that, and I know how manipulative and how vulnerable people can be in general to that emotional experience of quote unquote worship service. That anything that comes close to that, to me, just seems like
Yeah. I mean, I totally get the whole social wanting to be part of the social community thing, but even like I couldn't do it at a church or anything, like just because I was an atheist going to church for a while when I was younger. After I had just become an atheist, I told my parents I would still go to church just to kind of appease them. And for me, it's just a kind of creepy situation because everyone, it's very much like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you have all these people who, for lack of a better word, are just kind of brainwashed, and you go there, you look at everybody differently when you're out of that. And like I said, it's almost like, I don't know if you've seen Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but at the end, basically everybody except for one person is a clone, and the one person's just trying to fit in by behaving like everybody else, even though they're not. They're no longer. Everybody else has changed at this point. But yeah, it's just to me, it's a uncomfortable, creepy setting, just because of everybody is so trained to behave in a certain way and believe a certain thing, and when you're outside of that looking in, but you're still amongst the people, it's kind of awkward and creepy.
Yeah, I have a friend, my best friend in the whole world. Him and his wife are part of this church, and I know that he would consider himself a theist, I guess, if you were to split everybody in the world up to but he's not really like religious at all. But he goes to church because he said there's a community, like he has friends there. There's like a social circle built into it intrinsically, like you're in the club, you don't have to really do much. And and they have a lot of activities for his kid, and so I just go, in my head, I'm like, I don't know how you can get through that. Knowing that he seems to be caught somewhere in the middle to me, where it's like, well, I believe there's something quote unquote greater than myself. I don't quite know what it is. I don't know if this church is the right thing, but I kind of go because it's the best that I got, and they take my kid camping. You know what I mean? Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to quantify it all in like a simple, kind of couple sentences, but over the years that's kind of what I got from him. It's not like he goes and he's like really part of like really hardcore anything. He's not organizing car washes or he's not running a every time I talk to him, it's like, yeah, we go, and then the rest of the parents get together afterwards and they have a barbecue and they drink. It's like not, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't get it. I'm like, why even? I go, why not just skip the church part and just have friends?
Yeah.
It's a convenient friend dispenser, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like a Pez dispenser for friends. So anyway, are we officially done with critiquing the Norden?
I'm done with it, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna close that out so you can see my pretty avatar.
Do we know, is Fox coming back?
Fox's battery died.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it's his excuse to go watch some more BBC. But there is something that I wanted to touch upon really with Gavi.
Yeah.
And maybe you could just give us like a quick synopsis and maybe like your opinion. A couple of weeks ago, I would say, you had a pretty interesting discussion in the comment section with Tommy Hall regarding rape. Did that ring any bells for you, buddy?
Yeah.
And so, if I'm recalling the conversation correctly, overall, Tommy says something to the effect. I remember this comics. I wrote it down. He says, "The Bible doesn't condone rape. It just never explicitly says anything against it." Or something along those lines.
Yeah.
You want to give us your thoughts on that, or how did that end up? 'Cause I lost track of that conversation after a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, he eventually bailed on it, I think, but it just, what a disgusting thing. It's more important for the deity Yahweh to tell the people not to eat shellfish than it is not to rape women. And you look at the Bible in context and understand, if you have any kind of understanding of the culture in that region, in that period of time, that this was going on. It goes on today. It's gone on throughout history. But, the laws and even the commands of the soldiers during war and battles and things acknowledge the fact that it happens, and in some cases it seems like it's endorsed. Take the virgins for yourself. It doesn't say
at the very least expected.
Yeah, and it doesn't say, well, if the virgins are upset because you've just killed their parents and all of their siblings and their other family members, and they really don't want to spread their legs for you, don't worry about it. Just then either kill the virgin. I mean, there's just no instruction. It just assumes that the girls are going to either comply or be forced to comply, and there's just no other way around that. And I don't know. And the other thing that and maybe you're going to mention this in a minute or something. I don't know what exactly you had planned, was the fact that Tommy seems to believe that there's no such thing as rape in a marriage.
Oh yes, that was coming up.
And that's really profoundly disturbing to me. And not to say that Tommy does anything like that to his wife or something like that. I would say that's probably not the case. I think Tommy's a pretty decent guy. I don't know, but just this mentality that if you're married, it doesn't matter what the woman wants. That's appalling. It's a dreadful thing. Women are people.
What?
and
let me see if that's what it says in the Bible here.
Yeah. When did that happen?
It's really messed up.
Yeah.
I wonder. I have no idea about this Tommy fellow, but I almost wonder if it's something that he's not even thought about, and then when he gets punched in the face with something like this, he just says whatever he thinks gets him out of jail at that moment, and then, it's like, wait, no, that's horrible,
No, he's a jerk. Here's the thing between the difference between Gabba Guy and I, and maybe myself and a lot of people, is I'm not afraid. Do I know Tommy Hall personally? No. Do I know if he lived in my, where I live in the same community, if I saw him, would we get along? Probably, maybe, I don't know. However, in my opinion, I only have to know these couple things to say to myself, this is not a decent guy. You know what I mean? It's like saying, well, this guy, we play poker together, we go bowling, he's a cool guy, we have lunch together, but occasionally he punches his wife. That to me is like it just negates everything else.
Well, if that was the case, I would agree with you, but we don't know what. I mean, that's why I kind of wonder if he's just not thinking about what the implications of what he's saying are. Like if it were the case that he actually was, abusive to his wife or something, then yeah, I would say yeah, he's a piece of shit. But we don't really know what.
No, but I mean, even if he says it's okay or whatever, you know what I mean? Like this whole rape thing, right? No one's saying Tommy Hall does these. First of all, Tommy Hall is a self-admitted troll, and so I generally take nothing he says seriously, because you get sucked into it's a Side 10 thing in a way where he makes these really ridiculous comments. It gets people all fired up, and then you're in a comment for like 40, 60 deep, with these. Do you really have to argue rape in this? You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous, and he likes to get people fired up, and so I can't take anything he says seriously. I mean, it's almost I just see him and I just go, this guy's a fucking joke, and I keep trying to get him to like he's like a landscaper.
Yeah. Well, I think he owns the company.
I know. He seems to take offense when you can call. I just insult the guy. I'm like, look, dude, isn't it about time you start mowing some lawns or something? I mean, where do you find time to rake leaves and have these conversations? And I can't stand that guy. Like he is like, I hate to say, Pillbox is also a landscaper, right?
I don't know about Pillbox.
Pillbox is a landscaper too, I believe.
It could be.
I'm almost sure of it. Because I remember at one point there was a conversation where they said, "What's up with all these landscapers, dude? They're all fucking crazy." But the Pillbox is like the crazy conspiracy theorist version of Tommy Hall. Tommy Hall is like the sociopathic version of like Pillbox, I guess. He just see, I can get mad at Pillbox because he's retarded and has no facts and just like spouts off at the mouth because he wants to yell and be heard.
Yeah.
But Tommy Hall has a creep factor to me, right? Tommy Hall has the creep factor, like what goes on behind those eyes, like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. He just I find him. Pillbox angers me, but Tommy Hall disgusts me.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't get the creep factor with Tommy. I think he's probably a pretty good guy. I think he probably does play the troll on here, to whatever degree he does that. I don't know, but he and I think for me, I can extend more. What's the word? I'm more forgiving, I guess, because I know that there were so many times when I didn't necessarily make the same arguments that he makes. I probably identify more with what's his name? Who's gotten in trouble? Shoot! It just he got in trouble lately for defending Gman on when Gman went on the Atheist Experience.
Oh gosh! Now we're both gonna make grunting noises.
But anyways, Nate
Cunningham.
Yeah. I think of myself back when I was a believer as more of the Nate Cunningham kind of person. I said stuff that would make me cringe now for sure. I don't think that I went quite as far as Tommy does in most cases, and I was never like a staunch young Earth creationist by any means, but I can still empathize with that drive to cling and believe and defend at the cost of my own kind of intellectual integrity. And I mean, now I hope that I don't do that anymore, but there might be times when I do make those kinds of mistakes even now, and so I definitely, you know, kind of feel for that desperation that they often I think they are exhibiting.
You are the better opinion version of myself. Like you're the Bruce Banner on the whole. Like you're like, you know, Tommy Hall isn't a bad guy. I eat this and that, and I can relate to him. And then I couldn't. I'm like, he's a fucking jerk, you know. You know, and I just like yell. He's retarded, you know. I admit it's not the best course of action to take for, you know, conversation and growth and stuff like that. But there are certain times where I just read it, and I don't even know if it's his comments. It's his fucking avatar that just irritates the hell out of me. His little goofy grin and that fucking sun thing, and that's when it's so pompous. But anyway,
have you ever seen his puppets that he did that one time?
No.
He made sock puppets of like Alex.
Yes, I did see that. I'm sorry.
And somebody else, I don't know who, but oh man, now that was creepy. Because he's sitting there making Alex Botten sock puppets say whatever it was that, you know, feeds into his
narrative
and
meta-narrative.
Right, yeah, that.
I'm telling you, the guy has a creep factor. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying to what degree, but I'm saying there's a creep factor there.
I hope he still has that up. If I'm gonna look for that sock puppet video. That's too good to not repost at some point.
Never once have I decided to make like a Tommy Hall or a Gman sock puppet and have them argue against my hand. You know what I mean? Like, how would you make a Gman like sock puppet? Where would I find a sock puppet with Down syndrome? I mean, where would I find that? But no, it's just I don't know. He's just God, it just irritates me. But you know, I always thought of Nate Cunningham as kind of an okay guy, I guess, up until recently. I don't know much about him. I see him pop into things, and I think like when he first came on the scene, like I had a little exchange with him, and people were coming to his defense, like, you know, like they do with the other dude, with the Jesus guy I spoke to a couple weeks ago. Turtle, you were there. What's that dude?
What are you talking about?
Who was the dude I spoke to with the Jesus thing, and he was like, Jesus existed, blah, 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 blah. Paul
yeah. He was on our show, yeah. I don't remember his name.
The one guy, everyone likes him because he's a Christian, but he's not like a douche. Right, see?
Shoot! Maximus,
right. This is like weird Hangover Sunday or something. Yeah, Maximus. So everyone was like, "No, dude, you're kind of out of line. Like Nate's different, and this and that, blah blah blah." I only ever saw him in a couple of videos, and he always had he looked like a he's this hipster type dude, and he has like the short beard and the hat and the whole thing, and I always thought, just my impressions of him was that he was kind of, a very subtle arrogance about him. Dare I say pompous, but people were telling me I was wrong. I never really had any interaction with him. But then I guess he made this video that got everyone in a bit of a, it got people riled up, I guess. Does anybody see that video?
I watched part of it. I didn't see. I guess maybe I didn't watch the whole thing to know exactly what the kerfuffle was about. But
yeah, that's a good word. My brain is not working today.
Yeah, but I mean, in general, Nate, I tend to like him as a guy. I mean, I think he's goofy but he's not one of these people that goes out of their way and he's one of those who's more readily throws out well, I don't know, I can't explain it. I'm gonna leave that to God to figure out or whatever, and I'm just gonna sort of. It's not a position I think that I could be proud of. And it's one of those things that eventually led me to conclude that, yeah, that's really not a great excuse for believing these things anymore. But I certainly can at least respect the fact that he will at least admit that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So,
gotcha.
So there's that at least, and he doesn't try and defend things that don't seem defensible, other than to say, I don't know.
So then, what was the big deal with that video?
Yeah, he must have said, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we'll have to go back and check it out, I guess.
2 weeks from now, Nate Cunningham. Did you happen, and you were Turtle, happen to see the Trey Jadlow and Alex conversation on Christian persecution?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched a little bit of it, though.
There's a couple of things that I took notes on, actually, because I prepared for this shit. One, I guess Trey, the comparing of homosexuality to pedophilia, which incessantly gets on my nerves, like nobody.
Yes.
That was the first point that, yeah, we can all just grunt to that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
At 22 minutes in, he said some godly gook about presupposing the sanctity of existence. The fuck does that? What is the sanctity of existence? Is he just talking about the primacy of existence kind of thing?
No, he's talking about the fact that we value life and value existence, and he thinks that you can't account for that from a secular worldview. That why would living things? But evolution, of course, evolution explains that. That's right. That's the whole thing.
Okay, so he's retarded there.
Yeah.
And
yes, and he's been told that has been explained to him anytime that he brings this up with an atheist.
I'm just glad I got
again and again and again. Ugh.
Okay, and so this is the clincher for me. This was actually my favorite part of the whole discussion. So at 25 minutes in, roughly, Alex says, "If your God does not exist, would you still love your family?" Trey never answered that question for the rest of the hangout. And if you go back to the 25-minute part and you listen to it again, it was dodge, 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 dodge. He never answered that question. And
well, doesn't he? Isn't it the case that, because I think I remember that, where he can't even understand, like he can't grasp what reality would be without God, right? Or like, because then reality couldn't exist.
Right, but he didn't even get to that point in the very beginning. I mean, it was kind of, should I play it? But yeah, he ended up with that. I think he fell back into that because he had nowhere else to go. But
it's such a huge dodge, though, because it's like saying, okay, well, we understand that cars are built by people, well, what if we talk about a car that wasn't built by a person? And that would be like then saying like, well, I can't imagine that. I can't talk about that. That's not a possibility. I can't envision what. I'm not even gonna talk about it. And that's your whole defense. And it's like, well, that's stupid.
It's a good
Yes.
summary.
Yes. Opinions. I love it. I love strong opinions because, like, one of my favorite shows that we did. I think it was maybe the Matt Bell one or the one after that one, and we were talking about something. Either it was Trey or Matt. And it was Fox and I. And Fox is like, this very well-spoken guy, and then we get off the hangout, and but we're still in the room. And he's all, "What a wanker!" I'm like, "Why didn't you say that during?" We were recording. He's like just going off, and I'm just like, "Nah, save that fire for the show, man." So Trey moves on, and he makes some distinction between religious freedom versus erotic freedom. That's another one I like. Did anybody catch that?
No, I missed that. I must have stopped before then.
Yeah.
I think I stopped right after the bit where he was dodging that question of saying that you can't understand the world without God having created it or whatever. I think I stopped after that, but
then my brain fell out and because of idiocy and yeah.
I was just going to say, I think I watched to the end, but I don't remember that exactly. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think at that point, I probably should take better notes on that, but does anybody, I was going to say, my next question would have been, does anybody know what erotic freedom, I know what they were talking about. They were talking about the bakery was the overall arching theme for the Christian persecution.
And
so he was saying, it was the old adage that their erotic freedom to be gay or want to make a gay cake trumped the religious freedom of the people that were, denying them. I just never heard the term erotic freedom, and I wonder how far he must have reached up his ass to pull out that term.
Sounds sexy, though.
I know. It sounds like a documentary you would see on Cinemax. But it was just, what do you guys think of the whole that whole bakery debacle?
Turtle?
I don't know a whole lot of the specifics of that instance, but in general, it's the whole persecution thing is ridiculous when you're talking about this, just because it is essentially you have a bully at high school beating up a kid for his lunch money, and then somebody stepping in and saying, hey, don't take his lunch money and beat him up, and then the bully saying, well, you're bullying me out of bullying him. That's their whole argument, is that the bully is being bullied out of bullying.
I don't know that analogy is quite fair, because they're refusing to make a cake for these people. And to me, I think that businesses should have a right, to not provide service, for certain things. Like, if you were a black cake maker and the KKK came up and said, we want you to make a cake saying KKK is wonderful, should you be forced to make a KKK cake?
Yeah, but they're still making a choice, though. To be, you know what I mean? Like,
who's making the choice?
The racist people.
Yeah, yeah, but I understand, and I think that there's something to be said for not discriminating against certain things, but discriminating against other things. I don't know. I
don't know the details of this situation. Does anybody know what exactly what did it say? Was it just words on the cake happy marriage, Steve and Ted, or something like that? Or
hold on a second. I'll let me see.
And And part of what I think Trey was upset about was that it seemed like there was some kind of civil penalty that was issued on the baker.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see that might be going a bit far. To me, the acceptance of same-sex marriage is at a point now where I think if you just made it known that a baker, did that, you could probably make a big deal about it and say, hey, these people are jerks. Don't get your cakes or cookies there.
I don't know about that though, because I still feel like there would be a lot of people who then would just shift beforehand they might, like a Christian couple beforehand maybe wouldn't care where they went, and now they're going, oh, I want to support this Christian bakery.
Right, yeah,
so,
Chick-fil-A kind of thing.
Yeah.
Could be.
I'm trying to find it. Let me see.
But at the same time, the fact that kind of more secular-minded people decided that they were not going to support Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has backed off of some of their statements. And the same with, I don't know if it's the same with Hobby Lobby.
Here it is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. But I was just going to say that, I think it can make a difference, and that social pressures, even if it's there's some backlash support in the opposite direction, I think it can make a difference.
So I think it can make a difference, but I think it depends on the situation. It just depends. Like if you were the same situation like 5-10 years ago, I don't think it would have had a real positive effect at all. I think you need to have the government step in and protect it's basically the argument would be that, well, homosexuality or acceptance of it at this point is leaking into the majority.
Yeah.
Whereas we need the government to step in and protect the minority. And yeah, okay, if it no longer is a problem for homosexuals in 5-10 years, great, but then there will be other minority groups that can be discriminated for whatever religious reason that anybody invents, because religion is all made up. But
all right, so basically, I can say the name and stuff because they did, but Christian bakers face a $135,000 fine for refusing to make a cake for a gay wedding. The owner of an Oregon bakery learned Friday that there is a severe price to pay for following their Christian faith. Oh, by the way, this is published by Fox News, so there's going to be a skew on this.
I thought they were fair and balanced.
Yeah, even just by that first sentence. But a judge for the Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries recommended a lesbian couple should receive $135,000 in damages for their emotional suffering after Sweet Cakes by Melissa refused to make them a wedding cake. As a result, Aaron Melissa Klein could lose everything they own, including their home. The Oregonian reports the recommended penalty is not final and could be raised or lowered by State Labor Commissioner Brad something or other. And it's a big, long article.
I think that's enough, I think. But
yeah, I mean, you get the idea. So that's what got Trace panties in a bunch.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know, if that we have enough details there from Fox News, because I mean it does paint it in a light that makes it seem like it's unfair to the bakery, which maybe it is. I don't know, but I still think we need the government to protect minority groups from discrimination against religious people in particular, but from all groups of. I don't know what the best answer is, but and I don't know that this fine or whatever is appropriate for the situation, but
yeah,
it's a fine line, but I'm kind of going with Turtle on this one, only because you're going to have a very imbalanced sort of thing, especially if being such a small minority. You know, I mean,
well, in the state of Oregon, you would think you'd almost have to go out of your way to find a bakery like that, just because they are so much more liberal than a lot of the country. It's not like it was in Alabama or something, and that was the only option this couple had for a baker. And why would you if it came out that the baker had a problem with you and your marriage, why would you want to have that baker do it? I mean, what if they made the cake but they made it terrible, and they did a crappy job and made it taste bad? You wouldn't want that at your wedding.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it even got that far. I mean, I'm sure. For example, if I went into a cake place or whatever, and I said, "Hey, I want to make a cake for XYZ," and they're like, "We don't make cakes for brown people." I would be like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it was done on principle, like if there was like they have like some sort of Christian symbolism in the front of their store or whatever, and these two people were like, you know what, let's do this. I remember there was some talk a couple years ago back about outlawing flag burning, and Matt Dillahunty saying something to the effect that if he has no inclination to burn a flag, but if they outlawed it, he would do it just on principle. I almost wonder, not having the full story, if that was maybe part of it or something. They took this place on just because they had this bigoted position.
Yeah, and a $135,000 fine seems a bit excessive for not making a cake for people. I mean, because literally that could wipe out their whole business and everything. I mean, that's harsh.
Yeah.
That is harsh.
I don't understand where that dollar amount comes from, but
you're not up on your Oregon law?
Just a flat penalty for any kind of...
Well, they said it could increase or decrease depending on whatever state commissioner, labor person, or something like that.
Am I allowed to play videos from the Daily Show webpage? It's an excerpt from one of their shows regarding Christian persecution.
I think you're more likely to get flagged for something like that.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. If you Google the Daily Show Christian persecution or something like that, Matt Slick is actually on it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen that, but...
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, that is the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. And they made him look like the jackass that he is, but it was like, I didn't want to get flagged for it, but I wanted to have it out there to bring it up as a point. I mean, the last thing regarding that conversation with Alex and Trey was Trey seemed to have this view of why some of the settlers, I forgot which settlers, the Puritans or whatever, left the UK to go to America. And Trey had the audacity to tell Alex that he doesn't know his own history.
Yeah.
You didn't get that far, right, Turtle? So
No, I didn't.
He was saying that was it the Puritans, guy, or was it another group? I forgot.
Yeah, no, I think it was the Puritans that.
He was saying Alex corrected Trey and said, they didn't have the freedom to persecute people and treat them, you know what I mean, and so in the liberal UK, quote unquote, so that's part of the reason why they left to America. So they could persecute people elsewhere, essentially. And Trey was like, in his stupid, condescending way, told Alex that he's wrong, and he doesn't know his own country's history.
Yeah, why do you have to go there? Why can't you just say, well, that's not how it was. Here are the reasons why, or here's the evidence to support my view. Have a discussion, have some humility.
Yeah, no, Trey can never be wrong. That's the thing with Trey is, in any situation, whether no matter how minor or major, or no matter in any instance, he has never said, "Hey, let me, I was wrong," or let me take a step back and think about that. He's never, you know what I mean?
He's just so condescending too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Did we want to talk about what is his name? Eric Hovind.
Oh, Josh Duggar.
Yeah.
I was going to be one of my last things, unless you guys want to do the Gman and Matt Dillahunty thing.
I don't have anything to say about that, really.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I was at my desk doing the end zone dance when I saw it. It was so funny. But it really is like pushing over a one-legged person. You know what I mean? Like G-Man is goofy. So I'm sure you all have heard or you've read or seen on the news the Josh Duggar thing. I don't have a TV, so I don't catch like headlines when they pop up on commercials and stuff. But Eric Hovind, of course, used this opportunity to attack evolution, and I'm not going to get into the particulars. I mean, I'm sure everyone's watching. All of you, all 5 of you. It's pretty much an open thing now. This guy allegedly, is it allegedly? Do I have to say that, or did he admit it already? Right?
He admitted it.
Yeah.
But molested young girls, and some of which were his sisters. Which, if you live out in the boondocks and you got 19 siblings, I don't know how many are his girls, but I don't know. I mean, there had to have been other options. I know you're sitting around. I mean, go fuck a raccoon. But your sisters is just, to me, out of the question. But so Eric, in all his infinite wisdom, started making stupid comments, and of course he attacked evolution, which doesn't talk about the non sequiturs of all non sequiturs, but said if evolution is true, molestation cannot be wrong, because what's wrong with one bag of molecules, molesting another bag of molecules? And there's so much wrong in that statement. Not wrong, like he would say, like absolutely wrong.
Could you be wrong about that?
Could you be wrong about being wrong about being wrong? Just buy my DVD; it'll explain everything. But do you guys anyone want to jump on this?
Yeah. First, I don't really follow I didn't follow this news. I didn't watch the TV show that they were a part of, so I didn't know anything about him. I was told that he did that by my girlfriend. I was like, huh. But so I don't have an opinion about him, or where he is now, if he's truly sorry about it or whatever. I mean, that is of course the position that Eric Hovind takes. He takes the position that this guy is repentant and Jesus loves him, and we're all supposed to forgive him and move on. And maybe this guy is really sorry. Maybe he will never do anything like that again. Great, if that's the case. Good for him now. And I believe it's past the point of what's the word, where it's too late to prosecute him.
Statute of limitations?
Yeah, I think that's up, right?
That's what I gathered from. Yeah.
Not that makes it okay, but at this point, there's no legal recourse or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, like mischievous said, like of course then Eric then takes this and turns it around against atheists and evolution somehow. But that part of that quote that you brought up towards the end of it, he says, like, if evolution is true and there is no ultimate judge, who will hold every man, woman, and child responsible for their actions? And if evolution is true, you will not give an account for every idle word you speak. And my response to that is, so what? Like, what is your point? Again, this is kind of goes back to what I was saying when I was talking about that Norden video, where the Christian from America, like, has to force his own beliefs into when he's talking to that guy from the copyism or whatever. where he inserts his own religion into that conversation and like assumes that everybody has to take on that part of the religion. You know, like we can still care whether or not people behave in a way that affects us, even if there isn't some ultimate judge. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know the background of this Josh Duggar guy. I mean, they're very conservative Christians. They're part of this group that like is opposing gay marriage. You know, they're supposed to be like the Christian's Christian. Am I off there, Gabby? I mean, they're supposed to be like old school, right?
Yeah, no, they're very conservative. They're very traditionalist, and they're part of this what's called the Quiverful movement.
Oh yes. Yeah,
which is why they have 19 kids or more, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's based off of a scripture in the Bible that doesn't it metaphorically refer to something about a quiver of something?
Yeah. So it basically says, "Blessed is the man that has a quiver full of children."
Yes, that's what it is.
So, saying if you have a lot of kids, you'll be blessed. And so they don't believe in any kind of contraception or family planning of any kind. It's just let it happen as it happens, and you should have as much sex as you can with your wife. There are now some kind of expose kind of books and materials that are out there just about the terrible lives that the children and the wives have in particular, growing up and trying to raise a family, with the kinds of restrictions that this mentality and ideology thrusts on the people. It's terrible.
It doesn't even sound good for the guy. I mean, even if he is, somebody who doesn't take any responsibility, like as far as like raising the kids or whatever, he still presumably has to pay for all the everything, I would assume in that kind of family. So it doesn't sound good for anybody.
No.
Yeah, you can't. How would you give the proper attention to all your children? And I feel that there should be at least a support group for the mother's vagina. But maybe like a support group or something. When you have 19 kids, you could actually hold a support group in her vagina.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's got to be rough existence to be constantly pregnant, even if in your head you're like, this is what God wants, or whatever, or blessed am I that has varicose veins or something. But to become pregnancy is rough, and coming from a guy, that means nothing. But you know what I mean, because I can't get pregnant, obviously. But it's a tough deal. It takes a lot out of you, from what I understand.
Get better with practice, I guess.
Well, and then there are accounts of women who had like problematic pregnancies and things, and their doctors would be like, you can't keep doing this because each time that you give birth, you're almost killing yourself, and they keep doing it, and it's just.
But clearly,
God
didn't bless those women.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't, and I haven't watched the show, but from the clips I seen and the commercials, back when I had a TV, don't they live sort of out in the boonies, like in the country, kind of?
Somewhere in Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, I think. I don't know that it's boonies. There's a lot of, it's not urban, but it's, kind of almost like a big cluster of suburban towns, basically around Fayetteville, Arkansas area. That's where Walmart's headquarters, global headquarters are located. So. Well,
I live in a city, so if there's more than 12 trees together, it's either a park or the boonies. That's how I feel. I'm like, isn't it like?
Don't they have 17 trees there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's
So,
more
I mean,
children than trees, but
so what do you think? Okay, Josh Duggar as a person. You know, forget that. What we think about his family or where they're from and this and that. Josh Duggar as a person. What do you think is going on with him in his head? I mean, is it? I guess what I'm getting at is he? I mean, well, a sex offender. I mean, legally, yes, but in that sense. But I mean, isn't it? It's a step to molest somebody, right? Especially someone that's a little kid. Then to take it on a level of it being your sisters, at least some of them.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I don't know what the time frame is. Like he was like 14 or something, right?
Correct.
When this was going on. I don't know how much. Like, was it going on for years or what? I don't know. It was multiple people though, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like that. And I certainly don't want to absolve him, but I feel like that whole situation has to be because he isn't getting attention from his parents or getting like I'm sure he has almost no sex education, you know.
Right.
So you know, I can't imagine that it's a very unconfusing. That's a horrible word to use because it's not a word, but like it's got to be very confusing to situation where you don't have any parental guidance really. You're probably getting most of your information from your siblings, you know.
Well, and you're left alone. You've got urges. Masturbation is bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you feel guilty, but at the same time that you have these strong urges. I think that they didn't have opportunities to go out and date and intermingle with people from outside of the family. You know, because just being, you know, part of the family was probably such a big deal. All the kids probably had to pitch in constantly to make the household work.
I mean, it's entirely possible that he's just a sociopath too. I mean, I generally try not to assume that, but it's entirely possible that he's just a selfish person who takes what he wants when he wants.
I don't think so, because didn't he come out with this on his own, or did his parents know? I really didn't get a whole lot of the details of the whole story, and haven't paid a whole lot of attention to it. But what were the circumstances? Do either of you know?
I'm checking it out now.
I was under the impression that it was. I don't know if it was him, but like his family let the what channel are they on? I don't even know, but whatever channel.
TLC or something
TLC,
like that.
Yeah, on TLC.
That they knew about it before this show aired, but they all decided not to go public with it. But I don't know what made it public recently.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
We celebrate small businesses every day through programs like Mission Green.
You can't pause.
Was it a commercial or something?
Yeah.
Don't you hate it when stuff auto plays when you bring it up? Like,
yeah, there's no like off button on this thing, so I totally apologize. Hey, free advertising. No, yeah, I was trying to get into an actual like an article that will have some sort of, you know, actual information, and I thought that was because it was from a credible news source, and I got hit with an advert.
Yeah.
So I get, you know, I don't know if he's a car salesman. Sorry.
So he is a sociopath.
He says Duggar resigned his position at the Family Research Council after it became public that during the time he was 14 or 15 years old, he molested 5 girls, including some of his sisters. The abuse consisted of fondling their breasts and genital regions while they were asleep.
oh my word.
And sometimes while awake without permission, according to a police report obtained by In Touch Weekly magazine. Included a much younger sister who, according to the Duggars, didn't understand she had been improperly touched. Jim Bob said the touching was a few seconds. At this time, Jim Bob said he shared his concerns with church elders. So, this is off of Wikipedia, by the way, so this is, you know,
take it with a grain of salt.
Jim Bob told police that he had enrolled Josh in a program consisting of physical labor and counseling after consulting with the church's leadership. Michelle said that Josh had been sent away from home for a period of 3 months to work for a family friend who was remodeling the building. Okay, so they sent him away because he was touching kids, which is always fun. Duggar resigned his position at the Family Research Council on May 21st, 2015, after his history of sexual misconduct as a minor became public. He stated he acted inexcusably as a teen and said he was deeply sorry for what he called wrongdoings. Doesn't really get involved with what times and what exactly, you know, like how long stuff was going on. You guys would have to dig a little deeper than that, but Ray Comfort, for example, said that because this was happened before Josh's, you know, his BC days before Christ, you know, he was saved now, so it's all good.
Right. I mean, to me, I obviously it's a bad situation. I hesitate to just condemn a child for doing something bad, you know, or condemn an adult for what they did as a child. If he still behaves like this, obviously that's a big problem. But my biggest concern with all of this is just the way that you have people like Ray Comfort and Eric Hovind just kind of blindly accepting, taking the positive out of this, you know, just like the backing up their Christian buddies, you know. It's just kind of like, that's what frustrates me more than anything, really, is hearing these statements from these apologists. Like, anytime that there's something negative that comes out about a Christian or something that could be seen as negative, just taking the offensive the other way, and it's just super frustrating to me.
Okay, so check this out. It says, Josh Duggar confessed to his father, Jim Bob Duggar, on 3 separate occasions to multiple acts of sexual molestation against his sisters and a family friend, according to a police report. The document also makes clear that Josh was 15 years old when he molested his 5-year-old sister and committed at least 7 acts of sexual molestation. So he went back. And it gives an actual copy of the Washington County Sheriff's Report, yeah. 5 years old, dude. That's a tough sell. I don't care if you've been out in the woods for like freaking 20 years by yourself. I mean, 5 years old, that's not even...
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
You have to actually be attracted to little kids for that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because
I was a horny teenager, and
right.
There's no way that, you know, I would have crossed over those boundaries.
If you can somehow even rationalize the idea that, you know, he didn't have an output, he was all, you know, like you were saying, he was a teenager, he's fucking horny, isn't that? I mean, if you're gonna do that, like go the incest route because you're from Arkansas or whatever the case may be, I don't know what your deal is, but he had sisters closer to his age.
Yeah.
And I'm surely not touting incestuous behavior, but there's like incest, and then there's like you know,
pedophilia, incest.
Pedophilia, yeah, exactly. So does that change sort of your view on things now? Either one of you guys? Now he admitted to this.
Yeah.
Colonel.
I mean, he needs therapy, and if not, you know, civil or criminal punishment, he definitely needs therapy, and he needs not church therapy from some person that's got a, you know, minister's license and not a psychology degree or something. He needs help, and I hope he gets it.
I'm in agreement because I'm not really interested in punishment. Like, I'm interested in making people better, and and like I said, I'm interested in having people not come out in defense of stupidity and wrongdoing just because they're on the same team as somebody who did something wrong and stupid.
Well, and one of the things that gets me is just that there are a bunch of people jumping to his defense, like Hovind and Mike Huckabee, who's now running for the GOP nomination for the presidential run. As opposed to if it was someone on the left, a politician or even a celebrity on the left, and this had come out. Any politician that stood up and said anything in defense, they would be all over it. I just think it's such hypocrisy, and that just makes me.
They would be instantly ostracized. Can you imagine if it was like a famous atheist or something?
Yeah.
Like it would just be.
Well, you have this built-in kind of get-out-of-jail-free card in that you can ask for forgiveness, and then everybody has to basically say, well, he said he was sorry, so we have to, move on with that. That's part of our belief system, so he's okay now.
Well, and then some of these churches will put them back in positions where they, have opportunities to mess up again, because they think Jesus has changed them.
I think that's what Ray Comfort said, to put him in another position or something where he would have to work with people. Gosh, I don't want to misquote. Let me see if I can find it. It's kind of like a priest that they put him back in like a.
You just got to get back on the horse.
Position of authority, yeah.
Like if it came out that, how old is this guy now? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Okay, well, however old he is now, like if it came out that, like in the past year or 2 years, that somebody else came out and said, yeah, he molested me or fondled me or whatever in the past 2 years, then I would really be like, this guy needs to be put away, and it would really expose the hypocrisy of the whole the family and everybody who's come to their defense. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe he has legitimately changed his ways. I don't know.
I don't know if you can, though.
I don't know either. Well, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, pedophilia, assume for a second he's a pedophile. I'm just going out on a limb. To my understanding, you're just wired that way, if that is truly the case. Is that not?
I don't know. I mean, I've heard things that suggest that, but I haven't looked into it.
I think the thing for me is I because he was so young at the time, I don't know if it happened, like now he's an adult and it showed, and we found out, he's actively engaged in pedophilia, then I would say, yeah, I don't think he can change. But when you're in that kind of teenage area, I think there's more question marks.
Okay, so in continuing with Eric Hovind's statement, he says, since Josh molested girls, which could damage their trust of men, which could damage their future marriage, which could damage their future family, we should make Josh Duggar work the rest of his life to help families stay together and help them recognize how twisted the world is and how God offers instruction on how to live righteously. Now,
perfect solution.
He should be forced to push faith, family, and freedom in the public, showing the Christian worldview has the answers, Hovind continued. We should force him to get a job at the Research Family Council, whose mission is to advance faith, family, and freedom in public policy and the culture from a Christian worldview. That would be a great punishment. Because when you go to someone for help with family problems, the guy that you want diddled his sister. That's the guy you want to see sitting across the desk.
It's just, to me, like, on the one hand, I get, like, the logic in his head about, like, oh, he stole from the candy store. We should go make him work at the candy store. Like, he should right the wrong that he did. I get that, but it, like, is completely ignorant of, like, the impulse of, like, oh, no, don't put him at the candy store because he's going to steal more candy. Like, it's almost like his desire or whatever to do whatever he did is, like, completely separated from him now. Like, which we have no reason to suspect that that's the case.
I just like when we'll go through this big old long thing, and at the end of it, Gabby just goes, like the whole thing's just gross. So, I mean, well, we're up to the 2-minute mark. Do you guys have any?
2 minute.
I mean, sorry, 2-hour mark. Does anybody have anything else to say on this one? Because I believe I'm all out of topics.
I just want to make a quick comment to one of Hoven's other quotes from this blog or whatever he posted.
Please do.
Because here we go. He says, honestly, I am blown away by the incredible double standard that is applied to Christians. It's rough, I know. We don't claim to be perfect. We claim to be perfectly forgiven. We don't claim to be better. We claim to be better off. We can forgive because we have been forgiven. And yes, we do use Christian morality to judge. Haven't you noticed that everyone is using Christian morality to judge people? Which, this is not a new thing, but I always find it amusing because if that were the case, then why are we having these arguments about, gay marriage? Some of us think that gay marriage is fine, and some of us don't. So clearly we're not all getting our morality from the same source. And there's other issues as well that come up where Christians think things should be one way and other people don't agree with that. So clearly we're not all getting our morality from the same place.
Right. Well, and then there are a lot of things that are called moral in the Bible that even Christians don't really mesh with or acquiesce to, I suppose. But yeah,
it's like he's taking this kind of general, like, oh, people don't kill, and people shouldn't kill, I should say, and people shouldn't steal, and that's what the Bible says. So everyone's getting their morality from the Bible. It's so self-centered, so focused on your own perspective that I know that you just glom everything onto your own perspective, and it's just so frustrating to listen to people talk like that.
Well, he's a pre-supper, so he's already so he's already presupposed.
Yeah, that's true.
All that.
Oh, I thought you meant like before supper. I was like, what are we gonna eat for pre-supper? That sounds good.
I wish that's what he was.
I had one last thing on that Josh Duggar thing, and then I could yell about Eric Hoven all day. But I mean, if you were in a small town and you knew that there's one donut store in the whole town, and you really and everyone ate donuts because everyone ate donuts, and you knew that Bobby liked to stick his dick in donuts. and Bobby got caught sticking his dick in donuts, and he confessed to it, and it is really shameful. And they go, he's really sorry. We should really make him work in the donut shop. Now, who in the right mind would go buy donuts there? That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not the best analogy, but it's damn funny.
No, I liked it. I did not expect the analogy to go in that direction.
But yeah, as far as Eric Hogan goes, I mean, you know, to be honest with you, I don't think Eric Hogan gives two shits about Josh Duggar. I don't think he gives two shits about what happened or what you know. Not on the level that he's saying. He may think personally like, oh, that's you don't do that shit. But this is a real, to me, sorry and obvious way for him to promote his own church. You know what I mean? Like, because if he was to give an opinion and he really cared, he would have really been like, he would have stuck to the topic. Yeah, Josh Duggar, brother in Christ, you know, we're behind him, this and that, and just let it be. He immediately jumps on the evolution thing, which is his whole kick. The whole Dr. Dino, his dad, and this and that, like, oh, evolution's bad. And so it's such, to me, a self-centered, like, he's so self-centered, arrogant, and just
self-promotional, yeah.
Yes, like he's a huckster. You know what I mean? Like he's the self-promoter. He just does no shame. There's no dignity. I want to chop him in the throat, like just so he can stop talking. So, yeah.
I also wonder, like, I think you're right. I also wonder if, like, some of the thought behind this was almost to be in a way, like the I'm looking at the topic of this thing here. It says shocking news: Josh Duggar is a sinner. But I almost wonder if like he is kind of going for some shock value to take, like, you know, like, oh, you know, this guy that everybody thinks is bad, you know what? I'm on his team, you know, and here's why. But I almost wonder if it is just, you know, some self-promotional kind of like surprise, you know, like everybody thinks this is bad, but guess what? If you really think about it, it's good.
Well, it would be like if, okay, let's say Eric Hogan sold race tires, right? Like NASCAR race tires, and another driver that he had nothing to do with, like,
he's not going to stick his dick in it, is he?
He's going to stick his dick in the racing tire. No, but then, like, the race car driver smashes into another guy on purpose, and, you know, the guy, Eric's like, this is horrible. He should have done that. If only he had better tires.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just see it as like this weird self-promotion thing. Like
No, I think you're right.
He didn't have to go the evolution route, but that's his selling point. That's what he sells in his DVDs and all that stuff. He could have just let it go as he's a brother in Christ. He'll be forgiven. Yakety smackety. But anyway, that's my take. He's a crook and a charlatan, and he's got a haircut like Eddie Haskell from like 1958.
He does have an Eddie Haskell haircut.
Doesn't he?
I couldn't trust that guy.
I knew he can't. He just can't. He looks like the manager at an Applebee's. You know what I mean to me? Like
he should be coming around asking if everything tastes good.
Right, or like TGI Fridays. Imagine him in the white shirt and the red suspenders with all the buttons on him. You know, like a TGI Fridays. I don't know. Do you guys have TGI Fridays out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a restaurant manager to me. Not someone I should get my science education from.
Well, the last part is definitely true for sure.
Anyway, I think that's it. Has anyone else got anything?
No.
Josh Duggar is 27 years old, according to Wikipedia.
Huh.
I must have skipped that part of my Wikipedia.
Well, I might be looking at a different one. It's just the 19 kids and counting Wikipedia page. So.
Oh, okay. That's right, folks. On Heretical Weekends, we get all our news sources from Wikipedia.
Okay.
But anyway. All right, well, I think I'm going to close it up on that. We're at 2 hours. Thanks, guys, for showing up. Thanks, Fox, for hanging in there. I know your battery went out somewhere along the line. I'm sure you would have had a lot of opinions on this stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good 2 weeks. We'll see you when will we see you? The 21st.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right, have a good weekend. Or week or something.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.